Is there another shooting in the United States? That's right, there has been another shooting in the United States. But it seems like everyone is numb, it's just a shooting. What's strange about what's common in America? Indeed, shooting incidents in the United States are estimated to be as frequent as traffic accidents. Let's take a look at a statistical analysis. This is an excerpt from Wikipedia about the 20 most serious and large-scale shooting incidents in modern American history. We can clearly see so many serious large-scale shooting incidents, all of which have a certain scale of shooting incidents. The shooting incidents that occur when there is a disagreement, argument, or road rage, as usual, are not included in this. Sometimes we see this kind of argument between two neighbors on the internet, where we pull out a gun and kill the neighbor. It can only be considered as an ordinary case, similar to the criminal cases in our concept. It can be seen that the frequency of this shooting case has actually increased. Especially in 2017, you can see that this pillar in 2017 is particularly exaggerated. The 2017 shooting in Las Vegas is currently the most serious large-scale shooting incident in American history. At that time, it was an outdoor country music festival, so there were a lot of people and the casualties caused by the gunman were particularly serious. Let's take a look at some media reports at that time. Why are many other countries such as Russia, Germany, the United Kingdom, France, etc. also allowed to legally own firearms? In fact, there are more than 30 countries in the world that can legally own firearms, but why haven't there been so many shooting incidents like in the United States? Let's explore the root cause of the frequent shooting incidents in the United States. 1. Constitution. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution provides for the right of individuals to hold firearms. In history, the first group of European immigrants who arrived on the Mayflower to the North American continent relied on weapons to survive on this land, because there were indigenous inhabitants on the land of America at that time, namely Native Americans. These colonizers were actually in constant wars with Native Americans, gradually forming the embryonic form of America. At the beginning, there were only 13 states in North America, and each state relied on militia for defense, so weapons were the tool for everyone to stand firm. After the founding of the United States, in 1789, the First to 10th Amendments to the Constitution proposed by Congressman Madison, namely the Bill of Rights, listed the right of the people to hold weapons after speech, publication, assembly, and association, becoming the core content of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution guaranteed the right of Americans to hold guns, but it also brought about a persistent problem of gun violence. 2. Gun culture. When it comes to the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, it can actually be seen that the gun culture in the United States existed before its founding. How deeply does the gun culture in the United States penetrate people's hearts? Let's take a look at the marksmanship practice of ordinary Americans, and we can see how much they love gun culture. I estimate that many countries have special forces whose marksmanship is not as strong as that of ordinary Americans. Americans are essentially a very warrior people. In the late 19th century, Colt Corporation, a famous American weapons manufacturer, how famous was this company? After the end of the Civil War, there was a well-known saying in the United States at that time: Lincoln gave all slaves freedom, and Colt made these slaves equal. Take a look at this review. Pulling Colt to the same height as Lincoln. In the late 19th century, Colt Company advertised a new type of revolver with the slogan "Fear no man, no matter the size, for I am the equalizer." This pistol became a popular weapon among cowboys and police officers at the time, and John Wayne, a popular tough guy cowboy star in Hollywood in the 1950s and 1960s, used it mostly in his cowboy movies. Cowboy culture and a love for firearms remain a significant part of American culture today. 3. Interest groups. We have all heard of the so-called military-industrial complex in the United States. In fact, there are various large and small interest complexes in the United States, with the National Rifle Association, headquartered in Virginia, being one of them. The National Rifle Association of America, or NRA, is the largest gun-owning organization in the United States, known as the oldest and largest in American history. According to its official website, it has nearly 5 million members. In history, 8 presidents have been its members, including Eisenhower, Kennedy, Reagan, Nixon, and most recently, George W. Bush and George H. W. Bush. Both Kennedy and Reagan were shot during their terms of office, and even Kennedy was assassinated, but this did not change the atmosphere of support for the association in American politics, indicating its great influence. The NRA has a lot of money and can influence some elections. It is conceivable that its votes will only be cast for candidates who support the Second Amendment, that is, those who support gun ownership. From 1998 to 2006, the NRA spent a total of approximately $6 million to oppose gun control, of which 90% was spent by the NRA. In the 2008 U.S. presidential election, the NRA donated $10 million to the Republican Party. As mentioned above, the NRA has nearly 5 million members, and it not only has people, but also has money. It can be said that it has a great influence in American elections. Only the NRA is mentioned here, there are many other gun-owning groups. 4. Party politics. The design and operation of the U.S. political system is the underlying cause of ineffective gun control. The regulations on gun control vary widely from state to state, making it very difficult to control guns and enforce laws across state lines. Moreover, the positions of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party on the issue of gun control are increasingly polarized. In 1968, the House of Representatives passed the Gun Control Act by 305 votes to 118, and the Senate passed it by 70 votes to 17. Since then, the differences between the two parties on the issue of gun control have become increasingly serious. The Republican Party has always supported the public's right to own guns, while the Democratic Party has clearly supported gun control. In the context of current political polarization in the United States, it is even more difficult for the two sides to compromise. The New York Times reported that since the Sandy Hook shooting, despite the Democratic Party's push for gun control, 14 states controlled by the Republican Party have gone in the opposite direction, passing laws allowing their citizens to carry guns without any licensing procedures. The Washington Post reported that in recent years, the Republican Party has been using graphic videos with guns on newspapers, billboards, and social media to attract voters who oppose gun control in order to improve their election prospects. 5. Social division. The American public is deeply divided on gun control. Over the years, public opinion surveys have shown that women, urban residents, non-native-born Americans, political liberals, and those who do not own guns are more likely to support gun control. Men, rural residents, native-born Americans, conservative political positions, hunters, and gun owners are opposed to gun control. The survey shows that the gap in the current American public's position on gun control is still widening. Another reason is that the long-standing social problems in the United States, such as social inequality and racial conflicts, exacerbate gun violence. Research shows that Black people are at a much higher risk of being murdered by guns than white people, and half of the victims of gun homicides are Black. In 2010, 14.6 Black people were murdered for every 100,000 Black people, while the number of white people was 1.9. According to the research of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, from 2019 to 2020, the number of gun homicides in the United States rose from 14,392 to 19,350, and the incidence rate rose from 4.6 to 6.1 per 100,000 people, an increase of 34.6%. Of the 90,498 gun deaths from 2020 to 2021, 38,796 were murder cases, and nearly 21,000 involved young Black men. So, the gun issue is a unique and persistent problem in the United States, like psoriasis. Its root causes lie in American politics, culture, law, and race. These problems are so deeply rooted, I guess this disease in America can never be cured. The political system of mutual constraints, the increasingly polarized political environment, the pervasive interest groups, and the intractable racial discrimination make it difficult for the United States to control guns, and a complete ban on guns has almost become an impossible task. Fortunately, this is just a minor ailment, not a serious problem that could endanger the survival of the American empire. Therefore, this disease will occur from time to time, and the specific frequency of attack is related to the degree of social division and the wealth gap in American society. What do you think it is so difficult to control gun ownership in the United States? Okay, that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow our channel and please like and comment.